This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Yes, follow the money. Paulie Howard, Jonathan Von Tobel, Mitch on vacation, live from Circa, downtown Las Vegas. Beautiful hotel and casino. Big show coming up. Sirius XM Channel 158. Get the VSiN Watch app. As always, Jeff Sherman from the Westgate to recap the Super Bowl, best and worst props, golf talk. He's great on golf, and he's great on the NBA, and one of the best and biggest cards of the year tonight in the association, the madness and debacle in Dallas, R.J. Choppy, the fan in Dallas. I've been covering sports for 20 years, watching for 40-plus. I've never seen anything like the surreal piece of theater going on in Dallas right now with how the organization is acting. He'll fill us in and give us an update on what's going on at 2:30, and Matt Humans with college picks and some futures as well. And top bottom, a team on an 18-2-1 ATS run in college hoops, best and worst NBA, college, and NHL. How you doing? How you been?
Good, man. I'm fired up. This is the best time of year. We're past the Super Bowl. It's all hoops, hockey, and everything else in between for the next few months. I can't wait. Baseball's underway too, man.
Yeah. Dodgers plus 275 to win the World Series.
Yep.
You ever see that again?
Ridiculous.
Right? Kudos.
Rich get richer.
Yep. Kudos to you that you could have saved me some money Sunday if I was watching the game next to you, but apparently you said this was Tampa all over again, and you were not buying any opportunity Kansas City would come back and even compete in that game.
Yeah, we were talking. We were sitting. It was me, Mitch, Mike Palm, and I was discussing with him. Like, I turned to Palm and I was like, "Look, if this might be Tampa in the second quarter, the way that he was running for his life."
Yep.
We got to halftime. They were talking to me. What was that? It was a team total for Philly was 6.5.
Yeah,
the number, everything. I just didn't understand this blind belief in that a team that if you stripped everything away in terms of the narrative and looked at them from a roster standpoint, from a number standpoint, why this was at where it was at. And sure enough, it played out that way. That was an ass kick in every which way. Mm-hmm. That was really impressive from Philly. But yes, it was a good day. One of the best Super Bowls, if not the best Super Bowl I've had. So hopefully I don't give it all back here in the next couple of days.
Yep, I got to give Chris Russo credit too, because he picked Philly in a blowout, but he used the rationale of the last time we had a number one team that had number one defense and number one rushing attack was 92 Dallas, and that was 52-17, whatever that was in the Super Bowl. So it played out that way again, and to be 40-6 in the fourth quarter was nuts. I just met Scott from Kansas City. He came down to say hello. He said he's still licking his wounds, and he was stunned as well. And then some criticism of Reed for what happened. No creativity and abandoning the run early.
Abandoned it. I think were their first 7 plays all passes? I don't think they ran the ball for a minute. So I don't even know if you abandoned it as in they didn't even try to use it to begin with.
Fair enough.
But look, the interior is pretty big, so maybe you thought you could throw the ball and try to get something going with yards after catch. Going into the Super Bowl was a really interesting matchup because this is a team this year in Kansas City that was among the lead leaders in throws behind the line of scrimmage, right, yards after catch, and this is one of the best defenses in defending those situations. Only 4.1 yards per attempt on throws behind the line of scrimmage, and that looked every bit of it. Like, that looked like a team that was desperate. And then all of a sudden in the second half, Kansas City's like, all right, well, we got Xavier Worthy. He's really fast. Let's see if we can chuck it downfield.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they start burning them, and they start getting some big plays. So I was surprised by the game plan, too. It looked like they were buying right into what Philly was selling immediately.
Didn't cross midfield till late third quarter.
2 minutes and like 3 seconds left in the third quarter.
That's insanity. That's nuts. We'll get the futures, players, and teams later in the show. So tomorrow is the final day till the All-Star break, and then the players get a couple days off. Do you have any interesting picks or tidbits on who to fade and who to follow when we get to the second half of the season?
I mean, I think there's a couple of teams that you really look at, right, as we play resumes here. At the top of the list, because I had more teams to kind of go against once this thing started to get back up, but look at Dallas, for example. Dallas has nobody. They're going to call you to play center here pretty soon.
Sure.
Daniel Gafford goes down yesterday with an ankle injury. He's going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks or the day before yesterday. You have a team that defensively has a lot of issues. They have no real perimeter defender that you trust. Look at the other night when they lose to Sacramento. They have a 10-point lead late in that game, Paul.
Yes.
And they come storming back, the Kings do. They end up winning that game on a DeMar DeRozan game winner late in overtime. The Kings were destroying them along the perimeter. Specifically, DeMar DeRozan was absolutely annihilating this team every way down the floor. I think that Dallas is going to be a team to definitely look against, maybe play some overs if you're talking about it from that perspective, because I don't think they're going to be playing much defense. They're very small. They're going to, I think, get got. When you're talking about rim protection, it's non-existent. They're going to be a team I think is definitely worth fading a little bit down the stretch here. And how about Philly? We're going to see them here today.
God.
Yeah, last night, that's unacceptable. You have everybody, you have your big three on the floor. You have Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, and Joel Embiid, and you lose that game outright. Philadelphia now, after that loss, again, one of the worst cover teams in the NBA, but still 6-14 ATS in their last 20 games. They have been terrible. And all 6 of those came in. Remember that stretch that they were on?
They were hot.
Without everybody.
Yeah.
When they weren't healthy. But outside of that, they've been terrible. You've seen nothing from them. You watch them on the floor, and Embiid is doing you nothing on defense. They look like they're not engaged at all. This is a team that I don't want any part of. And look at the way the market's pricing them. They were laying 11 against Toronto yesterday. Never even came close to covering that number. If the market's going to continue every time this team is healthy to price them like the team that had the win total around 50 that should be a contender in the East, why should we not continue to fade this team as you move into the second half of the season or second half post All-Star break? And I thought the other two was San Antonio to an extent.
This is very disappointing.
I don't really buy it. They're not good on defense. And if you look at some of these numbers for them, it's only a 4-game sample size. So maybe this one is a little too hyperbolic to get in right away. But even before the trade, Paul, last 17 games, they're 5-12 straight up and against the spread. So they're covering at a very poor clip. Some of the numbers for them together here. Spurs overall, with Fox on the floor, it's fine. They got a +3 net rating, but the defensive rating's 118.9. Fox and Wemby on the floor together, a negative 9.7 net rating so far in these 4 games. They've only covered one of them. They've won 2 of them. They were tooth and nail in every single one of them, essentially. The Wizards were giving them problems the other night. Couldn't cover that number.
They lost to Charlotte.
Yeah, lost to Charlotte, and that was a game, too. You're going to look at that game and go back if you didn't watch it and say, oh, they lost by 1. That's a tough way to look. No, they were down by almost 20 in that game at one point.
Yep.
They had to come back in that against Charlotte. So I don't really buy what San Antonio is right now. I think they're a very poor defensive team. I think De'Aaron Fox isn't good at the point of attack. They're going to go after him. I think it's a team that is going to be rated pretty high here, too. So I would definitely look to fade those 3. Dallas, Philly, San Antonio, and one to follow, too. As I just mentioned, Toronto's been playing some really good basketball. They're healthy now. They're a lot better than I think the beginning of the season it looked like. I actually have them in the Westgate win total contest here in town. I've got them over their win total because I thought they'd be better. They got ravaged with injuries. Barnes missed time early. But if you look at their last 17 games, 9-8 straight up. They've covered 12 of those games. I think they're going to be a team that is going to really be a pain in the ass for a lot of these teams who we head down the stretch. And they're not trying to lose. That's the other part, right? They go and get Brandon Ingram and sign with the extension. He's going to be back. You have Barnes. You have Emmanuel Quickly, RJ Barrett, these guys that I think can give you a little bit more upside down the stretch here, too. And you're going to be catching some big numbers. Again, today, opened as 13.5-point underdogs to Cleveland.
Mike Palm asked me about how I feel about my future on Philly to miss at +140. Now it's +210.
Yeah.
Which, well, the Bulls are completely given up, and they're awful. I mean, you saw what happened last night. More on that coming up, but it's can they win a couple games in the play-in? I don't know, but certainly I got the best of the number now with what that's gone to. And the other thing with Dallas, it hasn't played out that way in the arena, but it's a road game outside the arena with fans protesting, and they have fake funerals and what's going on there.
Bring him back. He's not fat. Yeah.
And the GM getting death threats. So they support the guys once the game starts, but that is just weird. And crazy atmosphere with these Mavs home games, and they're a 7-point dog tonight against the Warriors. So I'm with you on that one, and who knows when AD comes back as well. So that's a lot to follow there, and a lot of good information as well. What do I do with Atlanta, who traded some key pieces, but it played well?
I don't know. Look, now I am hoping that they can pull this thing off because back a little while ago I bet them at +210 to make the playoffs, and then they kind of went through a swoon, but they're kind of right back now. You mentioned the stretch that they're on, Atlanta. For those who haven't been paying attention, they've covered 6 straight, 8 out of the last 9. They have been playing a lot better than I think we thought they were going to. They had Jalen Johnson, they had DeAndre Hunter, they had Dyson Daniels. Those 3 with Trae Young were awesome. Johnson gets hurt, they trade away Hunter, and you're thinking they're going to be dead, but they're very competent, and I think Quinn Snyder's done a pretty good job. So one of the things that I brought up to you, look, right, we were looking at 5-1 here. You can find 6-1 to win the division. They're all within a game of each other.
Yeah,
Miami, Orlando, Atlanta, and of the 3, Atlanta's playing the best basketball.
Yeah.
Orlando stinks on offense. They've been one of the worst offensive teams in the league over the last 15 games. Miami, one of the worst cover teams in the NBA in terms of spread differential. They've been awful over the last 18 or 20 games or so. And, I mean, obviously we know they've been stripped down. No Jimmy Butler or Andrew Wiggins to show for it.
They get the 5 seed.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable.
Atlanta, though, I mean, why wouldn't you? You still got Trae Young. He's dealing with tendonitis in the Achilles. He's been playing almost every single night. At 6-1, given where these other teams are at, why not?
How many teams can win the West?
1.5.
Come on.
I love Oklahoma City.
So do I.
The ramifications,
go ahead.
like all these trades, I bet them to win the West.
You were concerned about Dallas.
Yes, that's the thing. Yes, I was.
Bad matchup, not afraid of them.
Yep.
Sure.
Not afraid of them. Beat them last time.
Yep.
A plethora of bigs that you were going to be able to go after them with. Now, Oklahoma City, they've sized up a bit, right? We've only seen Hartenstein and Holmgren for a little bit, but that was the case, right? They got another big. They were supposed to be able to match that if Dallas had it. But now that that's broken up, I mean, look, I know social media loves the Lakers. Let's pump the brakes on beating up on the Jazz, right? Because everybody
come on, they're playing well, though.
Yeah, they are. But let's see what this is, because Oklahoma City is romping through everybody. I'll give you one example. Go back last Saturday, Paul. I thought, to me, this was like the cincher dagger that's all over with. Memphis is coming off of 2 days of rest, sitting back and waiting for OKC. Yeah. OKC's on the second leg of a back-to-back, third game in 4 nights. The worst scheduling spot you could possibly imagine. And what did OKC do? They went in there and romped them.
They're up 28.
Yep, they absolutely smoked them. This is their conference, dude. I don't think there's any question.
Denver doesn't guard anybody.
Play some defense. They stink.
Gotcha. All right. Lakers give them a shot, maybe. We'll see.
Look, we have Luka and LeBron in any one series. It's going to be a pain in the ass.
How about Reeves?
All of a
playing
sudden
as well. I know this is great.
They're giving him the runway because they know in the next couple of weeks, like, buddy, you're a catch and shoot threat now. Ain't nothing else.
Yeah, whether you're at home or on the road or on the go. More ways than ever to tune into VSiN. Stream us live, VSiN.com, VSiN Watch App, YouTube TV, iHeartRadio, Fire TV, Roku, and now Sirius XM Channel 158. Everything up there. Excellent job. And find us and tell your friends, Sirius XM Channel 158. Biggest card of the NBA season tonight. We'll go rapid fire. Who's in? Who's out? What's moved? Trends as well. And a trend on one game. This team has covered 8 in a row against their opponent and 11 of 14. All that coming up next. Follow the money. Paulie Howard, Jonathan Von Tobel from Circa, Sirius XM Channel 158, the Sports Betting Network.
Time. There's nothing more valuable. It's what drives everyone to make the most of every moment. We celebrate living large in the now. In a city where time disappears, we create experiences that electrify the soul and memories that will last forever. We go big, we go all night, and here, everyone is invited. So get loose and get loud.
This is Circa. You'll have the time of your life.
So, Paulie, have you had a chance to read the VSiN Daily yet?
Yeah. Came in at 3 a.m. What's Bill doing up that late?
Well, rumor has it starts off with a 12-hour meditation session.
Then he just pours himself over film and live TV, really focusing and taking it all in. Bill's in with the biggest insiders, talking trade secrets, strategies, the whole nine, absorbing the info.
And then and only then can the writing process begin.
In Las Vegas, Bill's late night becomes your early morning. Wake up to the very latest betting insights in your inbox with the VSiN Daily. Sign up for free at vsin.com/newsletter.
On the Next to Numbers game, it's me, Joe Serralo, back in for Gil Alexander alongside Kelly Bidlin, of course, as usual. He'll get you set to bet the Genesis Invitational and the final day of the NBA before this weekend's All-Star break. We'll talk college hoops, some early NFL awards odds, and much more. Plus, we're joined by some great guests like Phil Bobbitt, who's going to break down everything you need to know about the Daytona 500, only here on a Numbers game, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
All right, welcome back with the biggest card of the NBA season. I'll pay off the tease right away. New Orleans takes on Sacramento. They've covered 8 in a row and 11-2 ATS in the last 13, and they're catching 5 at home tonight. Golden State opened 4 up to 6.5 against Dallas. Houston opened 6 up to 9. Booker's out. Minnesota opened 5.5 up to 8. No Giannis. Lillard questionable. Orlando total 208.5 down to 202.5. And Gordon is now questionable. Ball doubtful. Allen is out for Phoenix. And half the league is questionable tonight. And you also said the Bugs going through Miami?
Yeah, Miami. Let me get the names exact here for the Heat. Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez, Duncan Robinson, and Terry Rozier, all 4 of them questionable with the same stomach illness.
Oh, Terry.
Yeah. So
Terry, how you been, Terry?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So they got something going on here in Miami, and one would think that even if they do play today, what does that look like? Do you look second half, and that Bug's really sapping them? They don't have a lot of energy against this Thunder team.
You're going into the All-Star break.
Yeah.
You're getting ready for the vacation. Oh,
and
that
hit
could
with
be
the stomach flu.
That could be a rollover. Oh boy!
Do the Thunder get it? Do we circle the Thunder for their? I mean, do they play tomorrow? Because I mean, if you're going to get this bug going into the break, you're going to spread it over to OKC.
Yeah, there's only a couple games I think there. You double check that. Yeah,
they play tomorrow against Minnesota. Yep.
Damn. All right. Good call. Always go to VSiN.com. Again, it's worth it just for the prop analyzer. I'll get to that later in the show as well. But the trends from Makinen: 8-0-1 run, last 9 with the over. Indiana and Washington. Charlotte, Orlando. Orlando 7-1 straight up in ATS, last 8 against Charlotte. Atlanta, New York. 8 of the last 10 have gone under. That's a surprise. Cleveland, Toronto. Favorites on a 10-1 ATS run last 11. Cleveland laying a bunch. Philly, 10-2 ATS last 12 against the Nets. And I mentioned the New Orleans number as well. Atlanta, 47-28 to the over, though. Conflicting trends since 2022 and playing a 4th game in 6 days. You can check that all those up at VSiN.com. Okay, we'll go in rotation order. The big one to start, Wemby in the Garden against Boston. Boston 8.5. Holiday out. Brown questionable. Boston only 16-10 at home this season. Mm-hmm. They lost to Dallas laying doubles. They lost to Atlanta laying doubles. They lost to Chicago laying 14. They lost to Sac laying doubles. They lost to Philly on Christmas, and they went to Toronto and got beat as well. Do I get a big performance here out of San Antonio catching 8.5? What do you think?
I laid 8 with Boston. I think that this is pretty cheap for the Celtics, especially when you consider market seems to believe that Jaylen Brown's coming back. Some overnights were 7. Now we're up to 8.5. We'll see if Brown makes his way onto the floor, but I think the Spurs are a bet against team. They're 5-12 ATS in their last 17 games. Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox on the floor together have a defensive rating of 123.6. They can't stop a nosebleed. And here you have Boston. I mean, think about it. Let's say you have home court at about 2.5 points. Even if you don't have Brown out there, you only think the difference between Boston and San Antonio is 6 points on a neutral? I think it's pretty light here. So I'll go ahead and take my chance of the Celtics today. If Jaylen Brown ends up playing, probably closes like 9, maybe 9.5. I think the market believes he's going to play here today, but I laid 8 with Boston.
All right, if he plays, I like the over with everything you said, too, about the defensive issues. And Pacers, Wizards, I think 242.5 is too low, and Pacers laying doubles in that game. And Magic, 12.5 and 2. I mentioned the 6-point move on the under against the Hornets. And we'll see the Magic. I can't do it. I mean, they've been so bad lately down the stretch. Other than that big win in Sacramento.
Market believes in them though too. Like when they played Atlanta the other night, market bet them up. They got up to 6 in that one. They lost the game outright. They failed to cover. They're 3-11 straight up, 2-12 ATS in their last 14 games. They've been terrible. And for as bad as Charlotte has been, look, they're at least covering numbers. They've covered 5 out of 7. They've been showing some fight in some of these games. And Orlando, you look at this 14-game stretch that they're on, or 13-game stretch that they're on, Paul. Their offense has been abysmal. A 104.6 offensive rating over the last 14 games. They just can't figure out what they're wanting to do. I think it's going to be a pretty slow-paced game, but I don't know, man. I don't know what you've seen that would make you want to run and lay double digits right now with Orlando at this point, even with the injuries that Charlotte's dealing with at this point right now.
I like Brunson's points over tonight, especially keep an eye on Cat, but the big win last night, and I think Brunson can go over 27.5, lane 8 against the Hawks, and 241 the total, and we'll see what you get out of this bizarre Hawks team. It's been nuts what's happened. They're supposed to stink after these trades, but playing good ball, and the Knicks on a back-to-back, although they crushed it last night, but the only thing I want here is Brunson points over.
Yeah, I mean, they don't really have Atlanta anybody go after them, so I think that's going to be really work in your favor. Obviously, high volume. I wonder, I was talking to Matt about this last night on Primetime. You do anything with back-to-back, like, emotional rivalry spots, right? That's a rematch of the postseason last year. Right. Indiana ousted you. Then on the second leg of a back-to-back, you're back home. We know what the Garden's like when Trey ever goes out there. A really high emotional spot. They always take it seriously. You mentioned the trend of the under. I think it shows that these matchups actually tend to get pretty half-court oriented and slow down because they really do take it seriously, possession to possession, whether or not that's going to be the case. So I would look. Why would we not back Atlanta sidewise? They've been great. 6-0 ATS last 6. They've covered 8 out of the last 9. To me, it would be Atlanta or nothing, especially the way they show up for these games, but didn't bet anything.
I thought that, too, last night. It didn't come into play with the look-ahead spot for Auburn and Alabama, but Alabama shot the lights out from 3.
Beat the crap out of them, yeah.
But that could be, and Atlanta already beat them at the Garden.
Auburn almost looked past Vandy.
That's true.
They're up 15-0, and then they trailed 45-42.
Cavs 14.5, 234.5 on the road against Toronto.
I mean, Toronto deserves respect, man. This is a big number. Toronto's been great. They've covered 12 out of 17 games. They're the 4th best cover team in the NBA. They're healthier. They have some really solid wing talent, as we know. Obviously, Jakob Poeltl not going to play here. And remember, Cavs are still a little beat up, too. No Isaac Okoro. We got questions about Max Strus again. We'll see if he's going to be available. Ty Jerome's questionable. Not the biggest deal in the world, but look, Toronto's been solid. And we're starting to see that hook kind of disappear overnight. I saw it was 13.5. Cavaliers right now, if you're looking at it, is still 13.5 strong. Some others 13. I lean toward Toronto, man. What they've shown you so much. They covered a big number against Oklahoma City on Friday night. I think they were catching 18.5, stayed inside of that, never got out of it. So
could be a track meet.
Sure.
I've been it's up to 237.5 now. Man.
Yep.
Cleveland's really struggled defensively in the last month as well. Sixers 3 and 2-11 against the Nets. How about who had this on their bingo card? Embiid is the worst contract in sports now.
He seems to be, dude. You see some of this coverage on pick and rolls where he's just standing there. He doesn't even do anything.
Might have to have another surgery. I'll never play on a back-to-back again.
Yeah, man.
They booed him last night. He passed open a wide-open 3 and turned it over.
And by the way, I mean, everybody was mocking the Clippers after what happened. They let Paul George go for nothing.
It's been terrible.
Seemed like they had a good idea of what was going on there. Behind the scenes, more podcast episodes that made field goals. It's ridiculous. I don't think... You're probably at the point now, we talked about Philly being a team to fade. If the market's going to start to get pretty light on them, then maybe I'm wrong in that theory. But Brooklyn has won and covered 5 out of their last 6. They've at least shown a little bit of fight. Officially went over their win total the other night. But market's back in Philly again. This was a 1.5. It's up to 3 now. I don't really trust the fact that Philadelphia is this team. But look at the difference. They were laying 11.5 last night. Yes, Embiid played. Now without Embiid against the lowly Nets, it's just 3. So I think you've downgraded them a bit here, but is it enough?
They did have that stretch that kind of threw me off.
But nobody was playing for them. That was the weird part.
They beat the Lakers.
Yes.
And they were also had some other big wins as well. And then when these guys are healthy, they've been awful. There's 2 teams I'm going to continue to fade. The Bulls, which, unbelievable, 71-29 last night at home. At home.
Yep.
And the Pistons blew them out. They play again tonight in a weird scheduling spot. And I had, lucky day for me, I had a winner finally. Memphis took out the Suns. Now Booker's out. Houston's up to 9. Allen's out. With that horrible situation and chemistry in the locker room, they actually hung in there if they were down big. But Memphis, anytime they needed a basket, got it. I'm going to fade Phoenix and the Bulls until further notice.
Why not? Bulls' last 16 games have only covered 4 of them. They failed to cover by 5.5 points per game over that stretch. I mean, markets, again, they're bumping you up here, right? Because last night closed, 4? Now we're up to 6.5. So you understand, hey, you have to. 71-29, you're going to get downgraded quite a bit here. But this Bulls team wants no part of getting a win. It's been absolutely embarrassing at this point right now watching what they've been doing. It's disgusting. And hey, look, Pistons are good. Like, they're a solid team. They might be in the top 6 of the Eastern Conference. But I think it speaks more to where the East is at than anything else.
Yep, $5 to make the playoffs. I do want Luka's player prop under tonight.
Yeah,
24
minutes restriction.
Minutes restriction still at, first game back was the other night, out since December, and then it could be a blowout again.
Yep.
How many shots is he going to take, too? Now, he's 1 of 7 from 3 the other night, but I think his props are too high, 24.5, 6.5, and 6.5. The guy I want over is Reeves. What a tear he's been on.
Well, you think part of it is giving him a little bit more runway, knowing what's going to happen here as you move forward? Right? I mean, you saw what he did against the Pacers, obviously, you're referencing. Obviously, the last game out for him.
Can you believe that? Now, if I tell you in that long storied history of that organization, only 6 guys have done what, 45, 7, and 7? Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're right. And then one of them's Austin Reeves.
Yeah.
So maybe this is part of J.J. Redick saying, like, look, let's open this game up for him because when Luka gets full going, I mean, you're going to be off-ball guy. So they had a good stat on this. I think it was Windhorst or maybe it was Bontemps, but brought it up the court, I think, only 7 times in that game. Luka did. So, in other words, ball was out of his hands in the game against Utah. So maybe that's either one of 2 things. It's the way that Redick's going to use him, or he's just getting comfortable. But he didn't really have the ball in his hands in that game the other night.
Does Len do anything for you?
No.
No, the guy
Not
you can.
really. I mean, you need depth. I mean, they needed to do it. Yeah, big guy. That's what they needed.
Edge boost. You love betting. Make money from it. You're doing it every day. Put money back in your pocket. Don't leave money on the table. Card never declined. Edge Boost has your back. First ever bank account built for bettors. I heard a horror story on a popular podcast Sunday where a guy got charged $44 for taking money out at the ATM. Edge Boost, all your gambling-related transactions always will be approved. No more headaches. High rollers can move up to $250,000 a day on your Edge Boost Visa debit card with unlimited withdrawals. It works 24/7 for instant deposits. Never wait for a wire to clear again. EdgeBoost.bet. EdgeBoost.bet. Code FTM. Start at Tier 2 for faster bank transfers. EdgeBoost.bet. Code FTM. Jeff Sherman at the Westgate. Recap the Super Bowl. A couple props. Who he likes in golf and the NBA.
They're off.
Elevate your sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup. Then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to vsin.com/pro to join VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Developing situation in the 98th minute. Everton with the equalizer against Liverpool. But now we go to VAR to check the offsides. And this must have been a nice ticket. Now they're checking. I always
draw
love this.
plus 360.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They always, they said 5 minutes of added time, yet the goal occurs in the 98th minute. About what happened, right? Oh, the shenanigans in soccer. So we'll see if it sticks here as they're looking at the review. We'll see if Everton gets the equalizer. Jeff Sherman joins us now. Oddsmaker, manager at the Westgate down the streets on the Progressive Guest Line. Follow him on X. Does a great job at golf odds. How was the Super Bowl, my friend?
Very well for us. I'd quantify it as solid, and we were one of the first books to go down to 1 on Kansas City from 1.5, which what prevailed on the market early. When we went through the props, we really arrived at the conclusion we thought that the Eagles should be favored, but we understood why Kansas City went off favored because there was so much public money on Kansas City with the support they've gotten the last couple of years from Mahomes. So, but the Eagles are the side that we thought, and that's what we went in with.
Did you? The props went very well too. So many guys under.
Yeah. We did very well with the props, except for at the end of the game, there were a couple props that came into play when Pickett came in the game, and the extra pass attempt and the kneel down, and there were a few things that were affected by the end of the game, but overall, very well.
Okay. Do you know what the worst prop was? Was it over 2.5 players to attempt to pass and Pickett getting in the game?
No, actually, the worst prop for us was DeAndre Hopkins scoring a touchdown at 5-1.
Wow.
Yeah, we had quite a bit of money on him, and the public bet him over his receiving yards, but the 5-1 payoff is what was problematic for us.
Okay, excellent. And it was the best Barkley under stuff? No touchdown?
No, the best one. This is surprising, but Harrison Butker under 1.5 field goals made.
Wow.
We had so much over 1.5. It opened over $1.20 and went off up to $1.75. So just continuous one-way support on the over.
Jeff, was that you guys that were sweating out the both teams to score a touchdown in the game? Because I remember talking to John on Sunday. I think it was him who told us you guys desperately needed both teams to score a touchdown, and it didn't look like they might get that in the third quarter.
Yeah, we had some liability on that, and there's always on those type of things with, you have so many index props, and you have, Kansas City not ending with a touchdown and paying off nicely, and so there's no question that there's liability all up and down the board, and you're like, what do we need here? What do we need here? And that was one of them.
What was the price, John?
Oh,
I don't know. I think what did you guys have? Because I know that you guys
never saw that.
You needed both teams to score a touchdown, but John never told me what the price was.
Yeah, I don't recall what the price was. Like I said, we had so many of those index props, and a few of the other guys were monitoring those.
Okay, the goal counts. Everton ties it 2-2 in the 98th minute. Incredible finish in the Premier League.
Murray's in trouble with his Liverpool.
Yeah, that's could be a bad beat rivalry. Excellent. So let's talk about golf now, and let me start with this. If he was going to play, what were you going to make the odds on Tiger Woods in the Genesis?
Yeah, I had him penciled in at 250-1, and this is a course he had won 8 times previously, and even the U.S. Open when he beat Rock Immediate there. But his only golf recently has been TGL golf, so he would have been 250-1 this week.
Ooh, wow! Is it over? He'll never win another tournament?
I don't believe he will. It's unless TGL counts. But I don't think he will. So,
okay.
But it's great to see him out there. I mean, he moves the needle for me, and I was all looking forward to watching him play on Thursday. I set plans aside to watch him, but now I got an open day to do other things.
Well, no, but that's bad. You can't tell people that, though. You just take your day. Do whatever you want.
Tiger's my guy. I love watching him play. So I'll watch him next week when he returns. I know he's going through, with the death of his mother. So when he comes back, I'll be looking forward to it.
What kind of golfer we look for in these in this kind of a tournament, Jeff? What kind of archetype do we want in terms of stats and what they do well on the course?
Well, it's a shot maker's course. It's challenging, just like a U.S. Open. I set the winning score at 7.5 under par. It's been bet down to 8.5 under par. But they're only playing the South course, not the easy North course, like they did in the Farmers Insurance a few weeks ago. So par is going to be a good score here. It's going to be very challenging. top of the leaderboard, Scheffler. I opened him at 9-2, took some initial money on him, went down to 4, but now it's subsided, and I've raised him up to 5-1. And we're seeing a lot of support for Rory from 8 down to 7. And, it's a very well-supported tournament with the names in this and a historic course like this.
Who do you play? Who'd you play? Who do you like?
I didn't get too involved because I've been so deep into the football and wrapping that stuff up. The only thing I put a small amount on is Rasmus Højgaard, 40-1. I like the way that he's been playing since he got his PGA Tour card at the start of the season. I think he's ultra talented, and you're going to see big things from him over the course of the season. So, the 40 to 50-1 range, I think trying to get it now before it goes lower.
Follow the money. Paulie and Jonathan Von Tobel, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM Channel 158. Talking to Jeff Sherman at the Westgate at Golf Odds on X. He's on the Progressive guest line. The Lakers are tremendous for business, and people come from Southern California, and it's a Laker town. They can't get enough. How about all the Laker future money? You put up 20-1, it won't stop. You keep lowering it. Tell us what you're at now.
It's been a lot of movement over the past couple of weeks. I had him at 50-1 before the Luka trade, and after that, lowered him to 20. And then there wasn't too much at that point. And then when they traded for Mark Williams, I lowered him to 14 because they filled a need there. But then when that got rescinded, I put him back to 20-1 since they were lacking that again. But since that time, and with everyone in town for the Super Bowl, we've been inundated at 20-1, 16, 14. I'm down to 12-1. And one of the things that we had out on Twitter was we took a $3,500 parlay.
Yes.
The Lakers at 20-1 for the title, to the Dodgers at plus 240 for the title. It pays $246,000. So we have a lot of things like that floating around out there, and involvement with the Lakers. And, the odds, you're never going to find the true value on them. It was almost like when you were betting Tiger Woods in the past few years. You don't find the true value because everyone bets on him or on the Lakers. So they're lower than they should actually be. But we have to react to the support out there. And, you can maybe find some value in other teams that get raised up because they're lower.
Where should they actually be, the Lakers? By your measure, what are the true odds for them? And in the Western Conference, how many teams would you put in front of them?
Well, I would have them. I think they're going to be good and get some time together. I would still have them about 20-1. I think is fair if we weren't overwhelmed with it. And I have them behind Denver. Memphis, I have them right there with Memphis. Memphis is 30-1, but Memphis doesn't see any kind of support in the future book.
Yeah.
So we do so well on them, and we can afford to be high because we're trying to write money on them. But there's a few teams like that. I thought if they were healthy, Dallas would have posed a problem in the playoffs for some teams, but they have been absolutely decimated all across their center position, and they're going to be a challenge to get back healthy. So I don't know if they're even going to be in position because they're in the play-in area that they can do some noise. But, Denver is going to be a handful for the Lakers because Jokic, he always is, and, Alex Len isn't the answer to guard Jokic. He can go out there and take a couple fouls and things like that. But, we'll see. I think it's a position that the Lakers need to address in the offseason. Look forward to next year and being improved off that. I still think it's a little bit premature for them this year based on some of their weaknesses.
Yeah. We were talking during the break. We can find Adam Silver at Hoover Dam if it's OKC Memphis in the conference finals, even though that'd be sexy. But you're talking about two small markets, though.
Yeah, TV ratings wise, and that would be something I would be tuned in for because I think it'd be tremendous basketball. But for a handle standpoint, and viewership, it would be down a bit. And if it were Lakers Denver or Lakers OKC in the conference finals, the farther the Lakers go, the better for our business, and it's driven like that. So, we have some liability on them, but if they can go far and make the Western Conference Finals, we'll write so much on the games and the series prices, it would be great.
Any big bets on the NBA tonight? And did you play anything?
It's such a large card. We've just had a lot of player movement because of players in and out. I only played one thing, and I played the Bulls first half +3 against the Pistons because they just played yesterday, and the Pistons blew their doors off. And usually when a pro team gets embarrassed like that, you get a tremendous effort out of them at the start of the next game. So that's an angle I look for.
71-29. Man, if they cover +3, what happened yesterday?
Yeah, well, I'm going in with it tonight.
All right. Great job, my man. Great answers, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, guys.
I looked at that 3 times. I go, is this a real score?
I refreshed it. Yeah, I thought it was
What
like,
is this?
sometimes
It's like-
the score bug's
yeah.
a little off. ESPN's page just kind of doesn't. It's a little wonky sometimes.
It's like
That's insane.
It's like the breaking news with the trade. I go, is this shams?
Oh, I swore I could have sworn. I responded to everybody. It's hacked. Like I just put my phone down. I'm like, I'm not even going to look at that. That can't be real.
Wow.
It's still rage-inducing seeing him in that Lakers uniform.
I don't know what to do with Denver. The best player in the world, okay, but you still have Murray and Porter and Gordon. I still can't believe how they blew that series against Minnesota. And then also the resurgence in the weird career with Westbrook.
Yeah.
He was terrible last year for the Clippers. Horrendous in the playoffs. And now I guess because you play with the best player, it helps.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
But can you count on the guy to make a shot when it counts on the outside in a big game?
And all year long, their defense has been terrible.
Yeah.
And it's been really bad down the stretch.
Win-lose up next. A lot of people didn't like it, but it set a record, and one team is on an 18-2-1 run in college hoops next.
Got a good thing coming. Just wait and see. It's a good.
Elevate your sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup, then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to vsin.com/pro to join VSiN, the sports betting network.
Yeah.
Were you a winner last night?
Wow, winning.
Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser! Paulie Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
Win some. Raptors money line 4-1. Sixers boot off the home floor by the fans. Knicks Pacers over 234.5 up to 242.5. College hoops. What was that? Indiana plus 550. Won at Michigan State. Whew. Didn't see that coming.
Yep.
Kansas State plus 165. Alive and well on the bubble.
How about that?
Where did this come from?
Well, all these teams that keep making these turnarounds. I was mentioning this to Matt. Arizona at the beginning of the year coming out of non-con looked terrible. They look great.
Right.
There's so many. Arkansas turned things around.
Yep.
All of these teams that have all of a sudden caught life here in the second half is incredible.
It's like, okay, they had a nice win, and then they went to Iowa State and blew them out. Then they beat Kansas, and now they beat Arizona.
Incredible.
Loser for me. I can't get a read on Kentucky.
How about this?
Plus 165. They took out Tennessee.
An identical 12 of 24 from beyond the arc in both games against Tennessee.
Oh,
just lit them up from beyond the arc in both games.
And Tennessee so good defensively. Man, that's how it goes. Michigan, pick up to 3. Beat Purdue by 2. That was surprising. Purdue trashed them in the first game. Champions League, Real Madrid plus 250 came back to beat Man City, and it just went final. Everton-Liverpool draw plus 350 in the Premier League. Subscribe, be part of the team. VSiN.com, our radio and podcast friends. You always want to see these tweets and videos. At Paulie Does Vegas on Instagram. Send them in. We'll put you on. Thanks to everyone. You know who you are. You send them in on a regular basis. We love you. One tweet to read. BetMGM Super Bowl was one of the biggest single-game record wins in company history. What transpired? Which, as Aaron Renning said, 62 points, yet most people go under?
Yep.
Bizarre.
I think it was Patrick Everson who had told us when I was doing the pregame show for ESPN Las Vegas locally. I think it was MGM that had 36% of same-game parlays with a Saquon Barkley anytime touchtouchdown leg on it.
There it was.
How about that?
Wow.
36%. That's crazy.
I'm a little freaked out here, John. Look at this. This guy would come. Look at the death stare from this dog.
Oh, buddy.
Look at this guy. I don't want to cross him.
Why would you
right?
feel comfortable?
Oh, man. I mean, somebody did something wrong.
$20 says its owner is a feeble old lady that can't control it either. How many times I see some of these massive dogs walking down the street and it's a 90-pound lady who has no idea what she's doing with it?
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. Good-looking dog, but he is built like a tank, and if he...
No thanks.
He looks like he's pissed off. He comes right at you. It could be game over.
No, thank you.
Good point about the owner. Absolutely. Here's the team we're talking about. So while we were on the air, there's big, and thanks to Brian Edwards pointing it out, a couple guys were out. The star player for San Jose State. San Diego State from 5.5 up to 10. Down 17 at halftime.
Yep.
And then started off with a 17-0 run. But they won by 3. Kid almost made a full court heave at the buzzer to send it to overtime. San Jose State now 18-2-1 ATS run.
Miles done such an incredible job over there.
He's awesome.
You got to look for a different job after this. You can't keep playing in front of 20 people in that event center, as they call it.
There's a lot to that, right?
Yes.
It doesn't feel like you're playing in a game because there's nobody there.
Well, that's why you get some of these teams that go there, they fall asleep. New Mexico's been one of the best teams in the country.
I know, there you go.
Over the recent stretch.
Yep.
The lone blemish on their resume in the last 15 games, they went to San Jose State after they beat up on San Diego State, fell asleep, and lost the game.
Mm-hmm. We are united. And a lot of people didn't like it. It set a record. Kendrick Lamar halftime show. More than Michael Jackson, who had the record. 133 million people watched the halftime show. I watched it again last night. He did a good job.
It was great. It was very good.
How about the whole crowd yelling A minor?
That's
Think about that.
Pedophile. It's great.
Yeah.
He
did a diss track that became one of the biggest hits ever.
Did a great job with it. Everything about it is fantastic. It's well written. Never have we been more united than uniting against Drake in this song. And it goes to show, you make a good song. I think you'd be united against any front. But he was great. The performance was fantastic. What made the performance was the subtle smile as he's performing, getting closer to the line. That maybe he can or can't say.
The NFL wouldn't let him say pedophile.
Yep. But the crowd did for him.
Oh,
and Serena there. Everything down to the chain that I think tied back to Dave Free. For people who don't know it, go look it up. He was great. It was a great performance.
He has thought of everything.
Everything.
As you said during the break, yeah. I can't believe the whole stadium yelled A minor.
Everybody.
I can't believe that.
Even if you don't like him, you know the line.
Yeah.
And that's the best part about it.
Yep. 133 million. Lose some. Bulls down 71-29 at halftime. We'll see if they respond tonight. I don't have my fingers crossed. Grizzlies. Suns over. 237.5 up to 243. No good. Sixers. 7.5 up to 11. Luton Town just went final. I have them on an 0-14-2 run in road games. 14 losses, 2 draws. They just got beat in the championship league. College hoops. Miss State +3 went off the favorite. Florida routed them in the second half. What a back-to-back for the Gators. St. Mary's from 9 up to 13. Won by 9.
Got caught here. There was the information that 2 players for Santa Clara weren't going to be available. Got in at 10.5, closed 13, like you said, and looked like they were going to do it. They were up by 8 at halftime, but ultimately couldn't get it. Ended up winning by 9. Tough. Yep.
San Diego State 5.5 up to 10, and 1 bad beat. College hoops. Richmond +5. They lost by 7 in overtime, and Dallin Cuff was total. The George Mason game went over in overtime as well. And he had, I think he said St. Louis was on a 12-1 underrun. Sports betting never slows down, neither should you. Daytona 500 this weekend. Got NBA, NHL All-Star games, PGA Tour, and the MLB season. You saw Blake Snell. You saw the guys reporting. Are the Cubs going to get Bregman? March Madness coming up as well. VSiN Pro subscription. Get it now as little as $9.99. Cheaper than a box of donuts at Pink Box. Got to get it. Bill 80's daily email. Every best bet, every host, every guest. The Mackinnon trends. It's worth it just for the prop analyzer. VSiN.com/subscribe. Oh, I forgot one. Sorry. A couple lose some. How about the Ryan Kramer? How about this? And I know Mitch had it too. If you guys could throw that.
Oh, we were watching together. Yep.
Oh, he had Dotson 90-1 first score. Paid $4,500. Down at the 1. Still hurts 48 hours later.
Yep.
Tough one, Mr. Kramer. Yep. And Jim Root. UCLA in the Pacific time zone. 17-2. UCLA in the Mountain Time Zone, 1-0. UCLA in the Central or Eastern Time Zones, 0-5. I respect Cronin digging in on the travel gripes and making a point. Oh, that's something to follow too.
Yep.
Just like we saw with football. And
what are you going to do though?
Yeah, I know.
Are you part of the conference now?
Yeah,
it's the way it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's a joke. Absolutely. Yeah.
At least you're keeping them out there, right? They're not going to travel back, do they? That's going to be one of the things, too. You got to go out to Illinois, and what do? Come back, and they go back out to Indiana? Because they play them on, Friday or whatever it is?
What would you do if I make the SEC, give you the SEC pick 'em against the field?
I take the field.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, so Lunardi has 13 teams in. He has Tennessee, Auburn, Alabama a 1. He has Florida A&M a 2. He has Kentucky a 4. He has Ole Miss a 5. He has Miss State a 7. The other teams are worse seeds than that.
Sure.
You could have 3 of the 4 top seeds in the same league.
I mean, just the general randomness of the tournament, as we know. Like, I'll take that on my side, absolutely. I think we've seen some flaws in quite a few of these SEC teams as well. I mean, you look at with Kentucky, for example, dead last in SEC play in defensive efficiency. Yeah. Tennessee, a team that is overly reliant on their three-point shooting and couldn't find the inside against the worst interior defense in the conference last night, Kentucky. I think you look at Auburn as well. Some of these performances, man, Florida, you're scrapping with Vandy after you're up 15-0. I think a lot of these teams are a little bit more flawed, and I think there's something to be said. We always talk about Gonzaga, right? Oh, you got to play in a tougher conference. And sometimes playing in a tougher conference like this wears you down. And then you get to the tournament.
That's
and you're gonna,
true.
Right? And think about all the years, Paul, how many times were we talking about the Big Ten going into the tournament for years? Man, best conference in the country. You grind you cut your teeth. It's going to be fantastic. And then you get to the Elite Eight, and there's like one team left. Maybe. I don't think that's going to be the case. When you look at the rest of the the country, and the teams that I'll get, Duke, Houston, some of these other squads, the way Purdue's been playing, these Big 12 teams, I'll take a shot with the field over the SEC for sure if you give me that option.
Florida has to be in that discussion now, too. I mean, to beat
these
Auburn.
Wins? Yes.
Yeah, back-to-back. I mean, they're right up there with the big boys as well. I don't trust Tennessee, although they had the big good run last year. But the other teams, it's...
You can't.
Yeah.
Humans and I have talked about this a couple of times now, especially we've been on in their 2 losses to Kentucky.
Yeah.
It's just... You're on offense. You're chucking it up. You've got no interior presence. I think you're shooting under 50% on 2-point shots against conference opponents right now. I pull it up. Yeah, they're shooting 47%. They're 13th in SEC play in 2-point shooting. You don't get to the free throw line, so you're not getting any easy baskets at all. I mean, you're a fine defensive team. You're the best defensive team in the SEC, but where are you going on offense? You don't have any shot creators.
I like this team that's playing tonight at 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. Early game, by the way. Check it out. St. John's. They're laying 2.5 at Nova.
So
think about the losses. They blew those games.
Yeah, of course. So I've got them at 60-1 to win the part of the futures portfolio. You love the way they play defensively. You love the way that they force turnovers. The thing that really bothers you, they cannot shoot at all. They suck from beyond the arc. They're one of the worst shooting teams in the country. And that does worry you if they're going to trail in some of these games. Like, I think they're going to be a team that really desperately needs to play with a lead, and then you can jump passing lanes, get aggressive, right, get those easy buckets. But everything else, they play some tenacious defense, and they're great inside, man.
Yep. Top, bottom coming up next. The best teams, ATS, college hoops, NBA, and the ROI with some great numbers in hockey. Straight ahead, VSiN, Follow the Money from Circa, Sirius XM Channel 158. Get the VSiN Watch app, the Sports Betting Network.